This video will cover the topic, determining whether an equation defines a function, advanced. In these problems, we are given an equation and are asked to determine whether or not the equation defines a function. One way we can determine whether or not an equation is a function is by using the vertical line test.
What is the vertical line test?
The vertical line test is a visual way to determine if the curve of a graph is a function or not. A function, by definition, can have only one y value for each x value. We perform this test by choosing an x value where the line intersects the curve at least one point. As long as each vertical line intersects the curve at only one point, it is a function. But if the vertical line intersects the curve at more than one point, it is not a function.
Okay, that makes sense. But can we look at a few example problems?
Yes. Let's take a look at the problems we're going to be working through. We are given 2x equals y squared and 8 equals 5 square root of x plus y. Let's begin by looking at 2x plus y squared. We must start off by solving the equation for y. To get y all by itself, we can take the square root of both sides of the equation. The square root of y squared is y, so the result is y equals plus or minus the square root of 2x. It is important to remember to include plus or minus when taking the square root of a number, especially since this plus or minus is the distinguishing factor of an equation that does not define a function.
Why does the difference of sign prevent the equation from being a function?
Great question. Whenever y is equal to a positive or negative number, we know that there is going to be more than one y value for any x value substituted into the equation. For example, if we were to substitute 2 in for x, y would equal positive or negative 2. Here you would have one x value and two y values, which means that this equation cannot be a function. To ensure that our equation is not a function, we can now graph our equation and perform the vertical line test. We sketch our graph and draw our vertical line. We can see our vertical line hits the curve at 2 points, which means that our equation is not a function. Now let's take a look at 8 equals 5 square root of x plus y. Once again, let's begin by solving for y. To solve for y, we subtract both sides of the equation by 5 square root of x. What would our result be?
After subtracting both sides of the equation by 5 times square root of x, our result would be y equals 8 minus 5 times square root of x.
Yes, that's correct. Now we can graph our equation and perform the vertical line test to see if our equation is a function. We sketch our graph and draw our vertical line. Our vertical line intersects the curve at only one point, so our equation is a function.
Alright, so let me see if I have this all straight. To determine if an equation is a function, we must begin by solving the equation for y. Once I solve for y, I need to remember that the square root of y produces both a positive and negative value. And if this is the case, our equation is not a function. Otherwise, I can graph the equation and perform the vertical line test. From there, I can determine whether the equation is or is not a function.
That's correct. Great work.